Hi, I'm Michael Feinberg and I'm the lead architect for XSOC Corp. So today we're talking about the 4 pillars of technology that the company offers and why should you care. The first pillar is the XSOC encryption cipher. This is named after the company itself, and it is a symmetric encryption cipher which basically takes any type of text, file, or data and encrypts it. It can also be run in reverse to decrypt that data. And XSOC is different than a lot of other encryption ciphers because it's stronger and faster than those ciphers. XSOC is what's known as a hybrid of a streaming and a block cipher. And that means that it can run on a streaming key, and it also has characteristics of block ciphers, similar to AES or other types of encryption that many people are familiar with. Unique to XSOC is the fact that you can actually change the encryption strength. So by default, XSOC uses 512-bit encryption. However, we can actually turn that strength up all the way to 51,200-bit encryption, which is really incredible if you think about it, and puts us in a place where we're having discussions about post-quantum cryptography. Unique to XSOC is the ability to modulate that strength in what we call waveform encryption. And so that means you can randomly pick how strong is the encryption going to be at every packet of data or information that you're doing encryption against, much like a sine wave. Further, we can actually encrypt data with multi-factor authentication built right into the encryption itself. See, when most people think multi-factor authentication, they think I'm logging into something and I'm looking at Google Authenticator, or I got a text message on my phone, or maybe I use facial recognition. But after you logged into something, that's pretty much where multi-factor ended for you. In XSOC encryption, we can actually embed that multi-factor into the encryption job, kind of like fuel and air in an engine coming together. We take your multi-factor data, whether that's your face or your thumbprint or Google Authenticator or any other type of multi-factor input, and we combine that together at the point in time of encryption. You come away with your key, and in order to decrypt, not only do you need your standard encryption key, but you're also going to need to bring back that same multi-factor later. And if you think about that as a file archive, that starts to get really interesting, because multi-factor can survive with the encryption for the life of that encryption. Now, transferring keys from party A to party B is really what happens next in the conversation. How do you protect some data, encrypt it, and then give it to somebody else without giving them the key or the password to that file? And so for many years we've had asymmetric cryptography as a mechanism for key exchange, and that has solved a problem. But we're seeing that in a post-quantum world that there could be some real challenges with that. Now, in the past, there were a few ways to do this. You could go out of band. You could phone somebody up and tell them the key. You could even use a system like Kerberos and transfer a key that way. But the problem we've seen with systems like Kerberos is they have a single point of failure. So if you were to compromise the Kerberos server, then you get everybody's keys, and that's a real problem. So the next pillar of XSOC technology is called socket. And socket basically provides a transparent way to get keys safely from party A to party B over the network, or even over the wide area network like the global internet. And we call that WAN socket. And there is a very special way of getting key material from party A to party B by breaking that key material into little fragments or shards and turning those shards into random material that can be spread out across the network in systems that we call relays. On the receiving side, that information can be recollected again by the receiving party, and they can get their data in nearly real time. So XSOC has focused on performance and as much as security, and making sure that we can actually send encrypted data over the wire to a receiving party and continuously updating those keys. How often do you update your SSL certificate? Once a year? Imagine if you could update those keys every minute, every second. XSOC socket can do that. So we talked about socket as a method and an apparatus for getting key material from party A to party B. Well, building socket, we found a really interesting need came across, and that was that we were trying to send keys across radio frequency modems, and those modems only send very small pieces of data. So if you can only send a small piece of data, you actually have to cut your data into little tiny packets. And we realized pretty quickly there needed to be a protocol, a secure protocol that uses encryption to do this sort of work. And so XSOC Corporation created the Encrypted Broadcast Protocol, or EBP. And EBP is a very lightweight, very transparent way to send encrypted data across a network, any encrypted data. In a simple way to look at it, you might think of FTP. A lot of people are familiar with File Transfer Protocol, FTP, or clients like FileZilla, where you can connect to a computer and drag a file and send that. Well, EBP is designed not only to be more secure, but much, much faster than FTP. So when we demo, or when XSOC Corp demos the EBP protocol, we would set up side by side FTP client, EBP, and do a straight line drag test. We're sending this file to you, we're sending this file to you. This one came faster, but also using this very, very strong level of encryption security. And that's really not all it can do. The EBP protocol was actually originally conceived to support socket and support drone-to-drone communications. So EBP can do what's called multicast or targeted multicast mode, which means that if we were sitting around a table and we were sending video to different people on around the table, let's say they all had laptops open, if three of us had the right encryption key, we could see that video just clearly. And if the other person around the table was receiving that message as well but didn't have the encryption key, they would only see something that looked like rainbow-colored static. And so that's a really neat visual way to see how EBP works. But in summary, it's the encrypted broadcast protocol. It's a way of using XSOC encryption and transmitting data over a network. It also helps power our socket-based key exchange. So you can see how these different pillars of XSOC technology are all complementary. They work together very, very well.